Hello, this is Todd Luck, and this is a review of Generals of the Yang family. This was an unofficial Chinese game released for the Sega Genesis back in the 90s that's been given an official release by Piko Interactive, who polished the game's fighting and hit detection, making it an enjoyable if generic game. This is a spiritual successor to Water Margin, another beat-em-up based on Chinese historical fiction. Water Margin borrowed a lot from other games, mostly it swiped directly from Capcom's arcade classic Knights of the Round. Generals of the Yang family, on the other hand, is clearly inspired by Final Fight, but like other Final Fight wannabes, it appears to be programmed from the ground up as a new game. The result is a far less polished experience with graphics that aren't nearly as nice. However, I think this little brawler has a lot going for it. The game is based on folklore about the generals of the Yang family, a mostly fictional saga based 1,000 years ago in Imperial China's Song dynasty. The game is like Final Fight, but without any weapons that you can pick up. You have basic attacks and jump attacks and special moves that use up health. This is pretty standard for the time. Obviously, you want to use the special attack sparingly. Unless you're around food, then you can let loose before you recharge. You get 4 characters to choose from. You can play as Yang Yi, a great general and head of the family. He has great range, so he's the Donatello of the bunch. His special move is a jumping slash or a dash move. Liu Lang is one of Yang Yi's many sons and is a strongman who beats the hell out of enemy armies with his bare hands in this game. His specials are a spinning clothesline like Hagar in Final Fight and a dash move. Zhang Bao is Yang Yi's grandson, who is a swordsman who balances speed, strength, and range. His special is a cartwheel kick and spinning sword. Gooing is the fastest and is armed with knives which she throws every so many times she attacks. Her special is a cartwheel kick. Her short range and weaker attacks make her the most challenging character to play through. In Chinese folklore, she has the absolute best backstory. She's raised by her bandit father in a fortress. Yang Yi's grandson, Zhang Bao, goes to the fortress demanding the dragon taming wood on behalf of his father. She refuses to give it to him. She then duels him and defeats him. While Zhang Bao is her prisoner, she falls in love with him and proposes to him. He accepts, but when he returns to his people, his father is so upset with what happened, he wants to have him executed. Gooing comes out of the fortress and fights and defeats his father, who then agrees to the marriage and welcomes her into the family. This has absolutely nothing to do with the game, but I just adore her backstory. The game's graphics are just okay, but they captured a time period and have some nice touches, like food being things like pigs instead of generic video game turkeys. I actually quite like the music. It's a pretty good soundtrack to hack your way through an army with. The gameplay is fun. The throwing mechanic helps add some variety to the combat. Whether you throw them or knock them down, when a falling enemy hits other enemies, they'll all fall like dominoes. Enemies also tend to die after 1 or 2 falls, which makes sense since I'm slashing them with a frickin' sword. This leads to a game where dispatching enemies is both quick and satisfying. It keeps the game moving, and it just felt good. And that's where I think this game excels over Water Margin, which, due to the damage the enemies could take, the difficulty of the enemies, and the amount of them, just felt overly long and at times was a slow, repetitive chore to get through in a single-player game. Water Margin is still fun to play through, but it's a game I tend to play a little at a time using save states. The game's enemies are not the most memorable, but that's par for the course for this type of game. And for some reason you fight jugglers. Why? I have no idea. And they have names like Gordon. Why would that be? Was China invaded by an army of guys named Gordon during the Song Dynasty or something? And the enemies are stone cold stupid. They just wander around and attack randomly. They'll still wear you down, but if they were capable of strategy, they might actually be dangerous. And they keep repeating the same boss over and over with different colors who just runs back and forth like a moron most of the time. By the way, his projectile attacks can't touch you if you're in the middle of an animation, so use your special when he attacks and you'll avoid getting hit. But it's still fun to beat up the army of idiots while playing by yourself. But of course, games like this are designed for multiplayer. And if you go that route, you will find that this is one of those beat 'em ups you can hit the other player. I know a lot of people hate this, but it can add to the challenge and chaos. And if you get mad at the other player, you can always pick them up and throw them into the enemies. There are two levels of difficulty, easy and hard. Easy will give you a partial ending, and hard will give you a full ending telling you the fate of the characters, which is totally worth it. I played through this on the Act Games Legends Flashback mini consoles, so I had the benefit of a rewind feature that helped me play through it, but I didn't have to use it that often. If you're having difficulty and have run out of credits, just wait until you have no lives left and are low on health, and then press start on player 2. This replenishes your credits, and this is my go-to technique for defeating console beat-em-ups. Overall, I like the game. It's not perfect, but it's a decent Final Fight wannabe that's actually set someplace other than the same city streets we've all fought through way too many times. It's available on the At Games Legends Flashback mini console with water margin and about 100 other games. You can also buy it from Piko Interactive as a cartridge for the Genesis. It's $34.99 for the cart and another $10 if you want it to come with the box and instruction booklet. Obviously, in that case, you're paying more for it for the physical media you can showcase in your collection. So that's it. Like and subscribe, and until next time, be prepared for the invasion of jugglers and guys named Gordon. See ya.